Good morning to Moore and Crystal Howell. Nicole is a tax manager with Ernst and Young, and Crystal, of course, is our own internal auditor, and she is certainly going to give us a lot of information as April rolls around, and that means it's tax time. So, ladies, let's take a look at personal tax filing and welcome. Nice to have you with us.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Good morning.
Good morning. So, first up, are there any changes to the personal tax system for 2020? Well, 2019.
Unfortunately, when I spoke to the president of ICAB, at this point in time, we have not received any word on any extensions. So it's to presume that everything is as normal. However, we are staying in constant communication to be able to provide any updates as soon as they become available to us, particularly in the form of how persons will be able to make payment or any extensions that persons would want to express interest in given the current times that we are experiencing. In the meantime, we're going to move forward assuming that everything is as expected. And Nicole will be introducing us to personal taxes and giving us an idea as to who should file, the deadlines that you'll be expected to file within, the basis on which a return should be filed, personal tax prepayments, filing methods, documents for filing, and any penalties for late filing. We may not get through everything today, but hopefully we'll be able to have as much information shared with you as possible and leave persons more informed about what they have to do when that deadline rolls around next month.
Yes,
So,
thanks,
Nicole, let's
Christine.
start with the first part. Go ahead.
Yeah, so basically, every employed and self-employed person should file a tax return. Persons in receipt of rental income, directors' fees, or partnership profit share should also declare this information through their income tax returns. Where persons have income from January 1st, 2019 to December 31st, 2019, that income should be assessed through their tax return due on April 30th of this year. So that even if an individual has income below the threshold of $25,000 per year, there's still a return called the reverse tax credit form that they could submit, which allows them to obtain relief through the credit given by the government. Persons, however, earning between 25,000 and 35,000 total obtain relief through the compensationary income credit, which is a new initiative and basically gives them a credit for all the PAYE that they would have suffered for the year. Um, Employees prepay, however, through the PAYE system, but self-employed persons, they look at their liability for the prior year. In this case, for 2019, it will be income year 2018, and they will prepay a total of 75% of that amount that would have been paid over 2018, but that would be paid in three installments of 25% each. And those installments are due June the 15th, September the 15th, and December the 15th. Now, the penalty, if they have failed to prepay as required, is 10% of the tax prepayment with interest accruing at 0.5% of the tax and penalty. Now, to file returns, there is an online system called TAMIS, which uses a unique TAMIS identification number. And persons are urged to make sure that they obtain a TIN number and check their access to TAMIS very early in April instead of waiting until the end. It is our understanding that the forms are going to be made available from around the first week of April, and that um, the government is exploring the options of persons making their payments through methods other than coming into their cashiers, which is good in these times. With the TAMIS system, all supporting documentation can either be uploaded by the taxpayer or by third parties. However, the Barbados Revenue Authority, in assessing the return, can request additional information if the need arises. And you should make sure you have that information available and keep it and not destroy it without first seeking their permission. Now, where a return is submitted late, there is a fixed penalty of Barbados $500, and if there is a balance of tax to pay, a further penalty of 5% of that tax is due. Where the payment was also not made or made late, there is another penalty of 5% as well. Interest, where calculated, is on the tax and the penalties and is 1% of the total amount of those due and accrues from as early as the first month when the filing should have taken place.
Can I just stop you a minute, Nicole?
Go
You
on.
said there was a new system, compensatory income credit. Is that what you said?
Yes, that is a new system
Yeah,
that would have been announced in the budget for last year. And with that
right.
system, basically, where persons earn a cap of $35,000 in a year, no more than 35, but within the range of 25,000 to 35,000, they are allowed to obtain a credit, which would be equivalent to all the tax that they would have paid through the PAYE system.
Okay. All right. So I interrupted
So they
you
would,
when you were
that's okay.
talking about the penalties that we accrue for late filing.
Yes. So
Hmm.
basically, as Crystal would have said, another question that people have been asking is, will there be an extension for this year? We have not heard anything to that effect. So persons still have to be prepared to file as they normally would. And
Hmm.
I really urge persons to check the system early to make sure they have access. And if they do not have access, they can easily call into the Barbados Revenue Authority or email the Barbados Revenue Authority to have it sorted well in advance.
All right. We are filing for 2019.
Yes,
So that's up until December 31st when there was no COVID or anything. Um,
correct.
by this time now, some people, unfortunately, because of, the way that the hours are and so on, have lost their jobs and might need to hold on to a little finance, or they might not have it at the at time of filing. Um, what would your suggestion be for them to get in contact with the BRA, out something, or is that not allowed?
Well, that is entirely within the discretion of the Ministry of Finance. They would probably look at it from a holistic perspective, bearing in mind the conditions that are currently obtaining in the country at present, and make an assessment of how best to proceed. I do not believe that that is something that can be determined by the Barbados Revenue Authority in isolation. Um,
Hmm.
and whatever is applied will most likely be applicable to all persons unless they write specifically to the Ministry of Finance.
Okay, all right. Crystal, is there anything else you would like to add? We have to deal with a little bit of lag sometime. All right, Nicole, I don't think Crystal is hearing me at the moment. So there were quite a number of things, though, that she said that we would be discussing. So is there anything else you would like to add for right now?
Well, as I would have said before, the form is soon supposed to be available, and
Mm-hmm.
what we would urge persons to do is to try to get in early and submit their returns early. The timing system can sometimes give problems if everyone tries to access it at the same time. I know that before a lot of persons would have been trying to utilize tax clinics to file their returns. And that is something that, because of social distancing as well as quarantining, and being asked to stay indoors is not going to be possible this year. So persons have to find other ways of filing their returns. And really and truly, all you need is a simple smartphone. You don't really need to have a computer. You just need something that will give you access to the internet so that you can go in and file your return. And the earlier you know that you can do it or you can actually go in and do it, the better. Persons who are employed really and truly are just verifying the information that should already be on the system because their employers would have uploaded all that is needed for them already. And it will only then be for those persons who fall in the bracket of being self employed or having directors' fees or having partnership profits or anything along those lines, rental income, that would then have to go in
Mm-hmm.
and make inputs into the system. So the earlier that taxpayers get out there and try to get that done, the better.
Thank you very much, Nicole. That's Nicole Moore, tax manager with Ernst& Young, and our own Crystal Howell. Crystal, since we're social distancing, suggestions for people getting in contact with their accountants or people who help them file with taxes and so on. Any suggestions?
I would recommend that persons stay tuned to all of the channels of the Institute of the Chartered Accountants of Barbados. We put out notifications via email, Facebook, Instagram, and on our website so that you will be one of the first to know or to hear any updates that we receive because we will be putting those up on all channels. Stay in contact with your accountants because we will be passing on all information that we receive from government so that you will have the latest information available as to the tax filing because I know that these are very worrying times and persons are concerned about their cash flows.
Quite right. Thank you very much, Crystal. And thank you to Nicole. And of course, we will be continuing to help you manage your pennies Mondays right here on Morning Barbados.